All right. Well, hello, everybody. This is Thomas, Jake, Bradley, and Andy. And Andy and I are with the Rooted Arborists, and you can check out our handle. And but right now we are at the 2024 Milwaukee Pipeline event. We just finished up, and it was pretty awesome. You guys have some pretty spectacular stuff going on. We're going to get into some of the products, some of the developmental research that's gone into it, and we're just here to talk about it today, and we're really excited. Andy had something to jump in there and say.
Yeah, so a lot of this kind of conversation is going to be a follow-on to last year's 2023 Tree Care Industry Expo event, where it was kind of the big coming out party for Milwaukee OPE, specifically in the battery space. We're seeing I don't want to call it a resurgence because it's kind of a new development across our industry nationwide. We're seeing a big push for battery OPE. And now the big topic of discussion this year is how do we keep the new products that we know are good? How do we keep them in the field? So kind of a spoiler alert with the background back here, but Bradley's going to really touch on some of the power management pieces. And Jake, who's the primary PM product manager for most of the chainsaws, he's going to really kind of shed some light on how we can accomplish traditional tree care fully battery.
Yeah, awesome. So, like I said, I'm Thomas, and I'm one of the owners of Rooted Arbor Care, and one of the producers of the Rooted Arborists, and that's kind of what I do. And so this was my first time here, actually. And so Andy came last year. He was like, "You got to come. This is crazy." We got to meet some of the people. I was like, "All right," and I was not disappointed. So you guys really outdid yourselves. You guys have an incredible culture here. And this is Jake. Jake, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. Yeah, first of all, really excited to have you guys here. I know Andy was here last year as my one tree guy, and now we're growing in numbers.
So 7 of us this year now, I think.
We had quite a few.
Yeah, it's a good look at the culture at Milwaukee Tool, what we're developing, and the things we're building. So glad you guys got a firsthand look at everything here. Yeah, my name's Jake Teitler, product manager over the chainsaw category at Milwaukee Tool, and product manager is a role here at Milwaukee Tool where me and Bradley, we're the voice of the user. So what that means is we spend hundreds of hours in the field, belly to belly with users, understanding, hey, what do you guys do day in and day out? What do you do when you wake up in the morning?
Literally belly to belly.
Belly to belly, yeah. We get belly to belly in St. Louis and understand, hey, what are your inefficiencies, efficiencies throughout the day? What keeps you up at night? What are ways that we can meaningfully innovate here? And we take all that information and leverage world-class resources when it comes to engineering and new product development that you guys have got to look under the hood at Milwaukee Tool and make some truly disruptive products. So, we're excited to be here and talk through what we're up to within the tree care space.
Thanks, Jake. Bradley, before we get started, I want to put some ground rules on this podcast. No Milwaukee speak. No disruptive.
We're just getting started.
No
Andy.
paranoia. None of that. Just true how you would talk to me in the field. When I attached Jake to a crane ball last year, that was the most disruptive feeling he's ever had, and we left that verbiage there.
Yeah.
So just talk candid with me, like if we were having a beer, not with a Milwaukee script.
Yeah, you bet.
Always.
I'll try to turn it off. You have to keep me honest.
I'm just indoctrinated.
Over here. Yep.
Okay, so for starters, then I think Jake's wrong because it's not hundreds of hours. For you, it's been thousands or tens of thousands of
There we
hours
go,
in the
Bradley.
field. But I'm Bradley Berkman, and I'm in charge of our power management category here. And, like Jake said, we have this big focus on, creating solutions for users. And for a long time, that has been pushing the bounds of batteries, motors, electronics to drive that power and performance in application. And as we've seen users, arborists really adopt these products, creating more and more solutions has really required us to look at that full day of work and say, awesome. How do we innovate on the batteries and the chargers so you can't just outperform gas, but fully replace gas?
There you go. There's that disruptive mentality.
Okay. Yeah, so that's really the story here is ultimately when I first met Jake, it was almost 2.5 years ago. Yeah. Top Handle it wasn't quite in its infancy. He'd already been working on it for, probably upwards of 12 months, 18 months. But it wasn't in the space yet. It wasn't released yet. So when we got first hands on it, we're like, oh man, it's pretty darn good. It's different, but it works. So it was the first time we saw an apples to apples comparison in the space, not from one of the traditional manufacturers or what we call the orange guys, Still, Husky, Echo.
Never heard of them.
Right? So it was really awesome, but it was
Don't
like
track
kind of
mine.
that year's hero product. That was really the entry point into the space. And just within 18 months or 2 years, all of a sudden we've diversified this lineup and been able to present a portfolio of products that are really going to allow most tree care guys, landscape guys, to perform their full service throughout the day. And the power management was kind of the next hurdle. How do we get to the point where I don't have to have 60 packs like you see behind here to get through a day's work with production? And that's where the new batteries this year, especially the 80 and 12 Forges and the new chargers, are really going to drive that home. So please really explain what it took to get there with the packs, and then all these new charging tools or products that you have to help drive that home.
Yeah, so I think you introduced that concept really well because, as we've seen a lot of people start to go from gas to battery, their first question is always like, will the tool perform? Does it have the power? And, Jake and his teams have constantly been pushing the bounds of motors and electronics to get the power there. Once people become believers in that, their second question very quickly becomes, how many batteries do I need? How many chargers do I need? How do I get through that full day of work? And, like Jake touched on, in terms of, our process is really centered around focus on the user, right? And so we went out and did a lot of research on this, and we looked at it through two different lenses, a more qualitative and a more quantitative lens, right? So really understanding how charging on the go or how using battery products might impact your workflow throughout the day, but then also from a strict numbers perspective, putting data loggers on tools, really understanding how much power people are using in an entire day and month, in a year of work. And a couple of things really shone through really quickly out of that. The first one was there just isn't a one-size-fits-all solution.
Why
No
not?
two people are the same. You'll see some people who can get through a day of work with a couple batteries, and the other side of it, they'll need 15 or 20 batteries to get through that full day of work. And so our process has all really been designed around this flexibility and scalability, right? To meet the needs of different users, but also to help people grow over time. Because we really understand that, this is a journey for everyone. You might start with a top handle, something like that, and you'll start to continue adding, more products over time.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, so with the scalability, I'm glad you used that word, because we're constantly trying to describe that, whether we're writing an article or just doing informative training about battery, because we get inundated with questions constantly about, is this stuff really as good as you say it is? No matter what brand it is, we work with a bunch of them, but there is no two users that are same. So for a firm like us, we kind of are on two polar opposite ends of the spectrum. We're doing small scale, arbor specific technical work, ornamental prunings, things like that, or we're doing large hazardous removal. Not a lot of in between. So some days we might go through 12, 16 packs with two superchargers constantly just flushing batteries because the workload demands that. But if you were doing gas in that same space, well, now you're just using 3 gallons of 2-cycle. So it's not as if you still don't have to scale your business on the gas side of it. It's just different packs. So it still looks the same either way. You're going to have more, or you're going to have to have larger tools in the gas world to do larger scale work, and you're going to use more fuel, more combustibles, whatever it is. So either way, if you're a pruning service, you have pruning tools and pruning power output, whether it's a little bit of gas or a little bit of battery. If you're doing a lot of large removals, same thing. You're going to need the bigger power tools, bigger packs, faster chargers. So hopefully you're demanding a larger wage for that work, but it's scalability. It's like the perfect word you could use for that, at least for us.
I would also kind of add on
Go
top of that, it's really fun time to be in this space because, if you look at a lot of our other products on the M18 platform, we're in the 5th, 6th, 7th generation of all these products. And, Jake's new 20-inch chainsaw, right, is really pushing the bounds of what battery can do.
Sure.
And so, we're really, and particularly that tool is one of the biggest beneficiaries of the new forge packs we've developed, and the ability to drive a lot more power out of such a small format battery pack, and also drive a lot more power into that pack to charge it quickly and keep up with that duty cycle. So this is just one of the areas where we have such a long runway, and it's
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah. So just released was the supercharger, and I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to look at that yet, but that is crazy. And the graphics display that we got to see was pretty awesome because it was a step-by-step, like how's this working, how's this cooling down the batteries, and which has been something of thought for guys that are using high torque, heavy duty systems and putting batteries on it and making sure that we're still getting the power that we need, the runtime that we need. And Andy and I have been able to use those for a little bit, and that's intense. To be able to turn around and, be able to use a couple packs, while we're using a chainsaw on the tree, and then by the time he's starting to tap out on those packs, you've got a fresh set that are on the charger. Is pretty crazy innovation that you guys have come through with. So I love that you guys are pushing the bounds on that, and I think that, Andy and I have talked about this ad nauseum. It's like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, that it's going to be fully replaced.
Oh, for conversion?
Yeah, for the conversion story. And it's kind of the next chapter, and a lot of it on our side of things is onboarding guys who are kind of stuck in the past, with the tools that they currently have, which is, that's something to be said. They still have, but
It's
opening
what they
a
know.
mindset, opening a new mindset, kind of pushing the bounds of what we do in our industry to say, all right, what's the best? What's the most efficient? What's the most safe? Can we utilize it? Can we utilize it on a commercial level? How are we going to take those next steps? And it's cool to see that you guys are kind of pursuing that same methodology, kind of the idea of it behind it. And we'll jump back to some of the battery stuff here in a second, but let's talk about some of the products.
Yeah,
'Cause
for
we
sure.
love talking about products.
Come on. So do I.
Yeah, Bradley touched on Jake's saw, but real quick, Jake, give us a rundown of what your saw is, because that's really, let's be real, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Like, that's the hero product this year. No offense, Bradley, the batteries are
I love
that's
the
the fuel
batteries.
source, but
Yeah.
people want this. They want to see the tool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so, when you look at our commitment to tree care, we're not trying to make a battery solution that you use because it's battery, right? We're looking to deliver a solution that is the best one out there, right? Gas or battery. We want you to use our saws because, they're delivering upon the performance, durability, uptime that you need. So when we first started getting into tree care, I remember I had a 3D printed top handle chainsaw out in the field, watching guys up in trees, banging them around, beating them up. And then we started developing our telescoping pole saw. And this was the first time I saw 2 Milwaukee chainsaws being used at once, taking on an entire application. Then with the start of our development of our dual battery saw, it became really evident that, we're going to be a full solutions provider here.
Sooner rather than later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Bradley's piece is coming along with it, with introducing the story of, power management, managing uptime. But, being able to see, hey, when we launched our top handle chainsaw, that was really the first battery top handle chainsaw to deliver, 36 cc type power, right? That was a statement, and that was our introduction into tree care. Before that, we didn't really have, many solutions for the arborist, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, we made a really distinct decision to say, hey, we're committed to tree care. When you look at the arborist, it's now a core user vertical for us, meaning we have resources, people and time, technology slated for the arborist. So, we're going to be developing products, launching products year after year to try to improve the industry here. So we did that. Then we had the telescoping pole saw, which was an awesome opportunity where, the pole saw space is one where with our technology, we can make the fastest cutting, most powerful pole saw on the M18 system. So
Yeah, and the pole saw, not to cut you off,
Yeah.
that's a tool that's not just for the tree guy. Most landscape companies are going to do small level tree work or emergency response for road clearance, all kinds of things. That is a tool that I feel like is one of those barrier tools to get you into the battery space. Because even if you're a homeowner that does a lot of property, if it says Milwaukee guy is already going to buy it either way. But if you're somebody that needs, hey, I need a high grade pole saw that's easy to use, doesn't weigh much, it's a no brainer. I don't know. I think it's probably it's the best pole saw there is. It's not really close, battery or gas. So that was the first one. As much as we love the top handle, when we got hands on a pole saw, we're like, oh man,
It's a game changer.
this is going to be awesome. And I don't remember if you remember Jake. I think 2.5 years ago, before the before the rear handle, it was still gray. It was real early, and we kept saying at the time, and maybe I was a little short-sighted with this, but I said, let's stop talking about the battery, lead with the tool. Everybody that's in our industry, anybody that knows about Milwaukee Tools knows they make great lithium batteries. We don't know that you make chainsaws.
Yep.
So you started leading with a tool. Now I feel like I've kind of come full circle, because with this new tool, now we ran it with the traditional batteries, and it didn't live up to the capabilities that it could have been. So then Bradley comes along and his team with the forge packs, and that's really where I feel like it unleashed or unlocked the potential of the more powerful battery tools. So I want to revise my previous statement that leading with a tool.
Yeah.
I think now we kind of need to go back to the battery to show why this tool is applicable to our space and how it's possible to generate that level of power consistently.
Yeah, I'll use my last culture word. Some might call it the next breakthrough, right? And it's a combination of, so the forge battery technology that we're delivering, but also a breakthrough in fuel technology. So this is an upgrade in firmware and hardware inside of a chainsaw to dump a ton of power into a chainsaw efficiently, being able to reach the extremely high power levels that really redefine the capability of what battery can do. We were developing this chainsaw alongside motor electronic technology as well as battery technology. So you got to try out that prototype battery along with a prototype chainsaw, really being able to paint the picture for, hey, what is the future? And it resulted in a battery saw that can deliver 5.8 horsepower peak power. And the reason why we pushed performance so hard is because we saw a big gap in the industry when it came to rear handle chainsaws with battery. I think people are up to speed now, like, hey, battery top handles, battery telescoping pole saws, those are solutions that are viable for the pro. I think we're getting to that point. But the big question is, what about rear handle chainsaws?
Can we consistently pull it off? Real quick, before you keep talking about it, let me grab one. I want people to be able to see what you're talking about on screen. So give me 1 second.
Yeah. Go get them.
So while he's doing that, as he jumped off here, so how does it feel like personally from your standpoint to watch something? I mean, you obviously were involved as well, Bradley, but how does it feel to see something like that from the ground? Like you guys literally didn't have any kind of chainsaw, any kind of spec or stand in that,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I think coming into leveraging our technology, and getting into the outdoor space.
I'm shooting specifically for a more personal thing. Since are we rolling?
Yeah.
We are rolling.
Yeah,
Okay.
I said yeah. So I was gonna let him get back to his thought. I was just pausing it real quick so I could put a stall up.
Personally for you guys, like, is that like a?
It's exciting, man.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're bringing truly disruptive stuff to the market and changing people's perceptions, right? I think arborists, tree care industry, very high standards, right? And people who have a lot of strong opinions, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And hey, we're launching products that are driving new kinds of conversations, and hopefully that pushes the industry in the right direction.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure it will. So now that we have your saw, what if you could, for all the users, people that have never seen this yet, what's the key takeaway? I don't talk numbers as far as horsepower.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we just launched a new video. You can get a full 6-month review on this at Root Arborist on YouTube. 5.8 horsepower peak, 70 cc. But besides just the output numbers, if you could look at one thing, this could, after Bradley, go ahead and follow him up with this one as well. What's your proudest takeaway from your team's creation of this tool?
Yeah, man. It's so, when you see this dual battery chainsaw, being able to deliver something right with the performance that gets a head nod from an arborist that, hey, this is something that I can use day in and day out. And then secondly, the durability to back it up means, this is a viable solution for production tree work where this is a part of the M18 system, right? We're making a statement as far as what the M18 system can do with the most powerful solution on the M18 system and really driving value into that investment, right? So if you have our top handle, our pole saw on the M18 system, we're also leveraging that same technology in a dual battery chainsaw to really make it a full system-wide solution for tree care, and it comes along with a lot of the power management stuff here. But to attack a very intimidating challenge of creating a battery rear handle chainsaw, we're excited to finally bring this thing to market and see how it lives out there.
So what I'm hearing is the cross compatibility piece is your favorite thing.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping it was going to be a Saul specific item, so I'll let Bradley
Sure.
go, and then I'll tell you my favorite thing. Bradley, what's your favorite part of this
Well,
process?
I'll go saw specific in
go.
a sec, but first I kind of want to answer that on a personal note.
Yeah,
What's been the best for me so far? I've been here at Milwaukee about 3 years now, and what you start to realize is like you keep referencing us is that we get to be the face of these products, but there are so many people and so much effort that goes behind every little detail, and so you go talk to an engineer about one specific design on one area of the saw, and they'll say, well, we had 15 meetings about that, we got 30 people in a room, we debated every option. So to see it come together is one thing, but yesterday I had this aha moment where we share all the great stories and the innovation we're driving, but then you see you guys, the influencers, the users of the products, whip out your phones, repeat it, share it with your users, and it feels so special to say, wow, like people really understand where we're driving improvements and
It's
how
the
we're changing
validation
their
of the
life.
work.
Yeah.
It's the validation.
Yeah.
Everybody
Okay.
likes a little bit of that. you
Yeah.
know?
Well,
What's your love language,
That's
guys?
cool because you
Words
know
of
that it's
affirmation?
actually getting out just past
Yeah.
your inner circles, and I know you guys have literally hundreds of people that touch all little different aspects of this design, and you guys get to like watch it come to fruition, which that's got to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to watch it go from nothing, literally a concept, to all of a sudden it's in people's hands and they're using it on a daily basis has got to be pretty fulfilling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think oh, sorry, Jake. I don't think most people realize outside the space what goes into starting this process. So if you're familiar with a show like a Shark Tank, Jake pulls it together, or any PM pulls together another team of PMs, junior PMs, and some engineers, and they look at this master list of things that have been proposed or asked for from users from way back when or whatever it was, and they say, hey, let's attack that. So to do that, to get the funding for the project, correct me if I'm wrong here, they have to they have their time that they throw into this, make a proof of concept, and then they have to pitch it to a board and fight literally tooth and nail to say, this is why you need to give me the budget to work on my project, just to even see if it's going to be viable. And at that point, there's still no guarantee that it's ever going to go to market. It's just give us the time and the investment to try it. Is that pretty close to the situation, how it works?
Yeah. I mean, when we see an opportunity and it's a clear opportunity, we just jump head first right into it. So, we highlighted this massive opportunity with the tree care industry and jumped right in with a ton of resources to drive products. So I know it's been at a yearly cadence. We've had these big launches, but there's so much more to come as far as, the pipeline here. And back to the point of, validation, designing a product, when we're designing a product, we're rapid prototyping chainsaws. So it's a 3D printed chainsaw from our rapid prototyping center. And we bring it out to users and, literally spending hundreds of hours saying, hey, what do you like about this saw? What about the ergonomics, the torque, the speed, the feature set, the balance? Making sure every little bit of this saw is validated by users. So as much as I like to say, hey, I designed this saw, no, like this is very much so designed by people in trees in the field.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot of the feedback, and
Somebody have to pilot it, though. Somebody had to
Yep.
steward all of that information. So
Yep.
don't sell yourself short there on that one.
but I like to get out and get beat up, right? I want candid feedback. I want to know what's good, and a lot of people like to tell me what's good, but I also want to know what's bad, right? So I can make it even better. So that's the key part of
in
it.
that same vein, I know we're running short on time here, so I
Okay.
want to make sure that we get everything in here. But Jake's been actually out to the field on our job
us
site,
twice now,
and done a lot of research. What are some of the things? Because I know we don't have to say it; we just know it. What are some of the things that you guys are doing to keep ahead of your competition? Because obviously, there's other people who have been in this game as far as the OPE stuff a little bit longer than you guys have. There's some technology out there that maybe you guys don't have. I don't know. You tell me. What are some of the things that you guys are doing to just trying to keep the cutting edge on the side of the OPE stuff?
Bad joke.
Well put. Yeah. So at Milwaukee Tool, one, we are wildly competitive. We love picking fights, right? Yeah. So you look at how Milwaukee Tool has grown. We started we started with, mechanical, electrical, plumbing trades, really dominated that space. Well, guess what? Then we went after power utility, Klein Power Tools. put them on notice. Now we absolutely dominate that industry.
Sorry,
You look
Klein.
at the automotive space, right? Snap-on and and a bevy of others who are doing pneumatics, right? We're coming after them. We're now at the point with our technology where we can meaningfully replace gas, and we want to make sure we have the technology to do it. And now we see that in the tree care space, delivering power, picking fights with orange brands, and looking to innovate in a space where it's really been lacking innovation in terms of the past couple decades. So we're excited to be here, and I think a rising tide is going to lift all boats here. But as far as the technology that we have at our disposal, our onus is how do we leverage that to best meet your guys' needs. And when it comes to the technology we have, it's best in class, and we're committed to driving that.
Yeah.
Great answer. Yeah, same for Bradley. I want to hear.
So I think there are a bunch of things there. The first one is if you tear open some of those competitive tools, and not just one, but their whole lineup of tools,
You
right?
mean to tell me that you guys are looking at competitors' tools too?
We're paranoid, man.
Yeah. But if you tear them open, you'll see a lot of the same components, the same motors in different saws, different tools across the board, because they try and cost optimize, right? And that's really not the way in which we operate. So we look at every component and say, what is needed for this specific tool, this specific application. So, I think from that perspective, there's just a lot more thought that goes into the details.
Not a cookie cutter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, I think the second level there is that commitment to M18. And so we've seen a lot of competitors who love to change battery platforms every 2 or 3 years because there's some new technology or it'd be a little easier. And so, that's, I think, something that users like the most. Of you can get a tool that's 15 years old, get a brand new forge pack, stick it in there, it'll
Crazy.
work.
Yeah.
And that's
Twice
our,
as powerful too.
yeah. And that's our same commitment going forward. So when you invest in these batteries and tools now, we're not going to abandon you like some of these other competitors have. Come around in 5 years and say, nope, you got to throw out all your tools, packs, buy new stuff.
So just so I can clarify, so nobody misunderstands you, for the M18 line, no changes. We're gonna, other than improvements on the same line, we're not necessarily excluding other battery lines from OPE.
Yeah.
Because whether it's M12 for like the hand pruners, or one day potentially MX type tools as that technology leverages, we're not closing the door to allowing other battery systems into the OPE or arborist or landscape space. But as long as M18's around, we have that continuity.
Yeah, and I think from a technology perspective, M18s now are 10 times more capable than they were when they came out from a power perspective.
Sure.
And if you go back 2007, 2008, when that platform was designed, no one could ever imagine we could deliver this type of power and performance from that form factor. And so
I couldn't imagine
I
it in
think
2022.
I think they're still reeling from it as
Yeah.
of last night. Yeah. They're still
And-
trying to figure it out. A
Yeah.
lot of people scratching their heads.
Yeah.
And by no means is it plateauing, right? So we still continue to see those advancements in technology, and we see where the power and performance is still has a lot of space to grow.
Yeah, from the layman's perspective, just seeing kind of the highlights from 2007 red lithium, when lithium first came out, all the way to now, it seems like every 3 years we have this carousel of it, the new M18 battery. So if we're in the infancy of this current pack, 3 years is a pretty quick turnaround to have a whole nother power set of tools. So is it tapped out? Well, look at high output. Look how much more powerful high output was than 9.0s. For people that have been around with Milwaukee for a while, or than the Forge 6.0, which before to yesterday was, I think, the best battery ever. A 6.0 that weighs, what does a 6.0 weigh? 1.4?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yep.
Is as powerful as a 2-pound 12.0 with better runtime, and it charges in like 15 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
ridiculous.
Crazy.
So, right, I touched on that a little bit earlier. Tools get a lot of attention, right?
Sure.
But a lot more power out also means a lot more power in, like I said. And so, now we really think about things in terms of not just that application performance, but the duty cycle of turning around packs throughout your day. And so,
Sure.
what you see from the new Forge 8.0s and 12.0s and that dual base supercharger is the ability to push air through the packs as they're charging. And so, in this environment, if you go rip cuts in a 20-inch hardwood log, those packs inevitably warm up, right? That's
Absolutely.
just That's basic physics, right? And so the ability to push that cool air through the packs, get them on the charger, they start charging in 90 seconds, rather than before it would take minutes, sometimes, half an hour for that pack to cool down and start charging. It'll charge faster, and then when it's done charging, it'll be cool and ready for that next discharge, right? So, I'd really challenge people to think about these platforms, not just in how does the tool perform, but how does that whole battery charger ecosystem perform?
Well, I think they do, and I think you've got the attention of a lot of people right now. So, which is awesome. That's pretty crazy. So you're breaking into a new, a kind of a new section, and you've got this out. You've got your top handle. You've got your pole saw. You've got your pruner, and we know just from past experience with Milwaukee that you guys have new iterations coming out. And I'm not gonna ask for too much information, but as we kind of wrap up here on this set, and what are some of the things that you guys want to say to the tree care industry? What are some things that you can say as far as like where your product line is going to go, and what are some things that you're excited about as far as the future?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at when we first got into this thing 2 years ago with the top handle, that was that commitment, right? And this is very much so the tip of the iceberg. This is our first ever, true professional arborist rear handle chainsaw. We had our first ever pole saw last year, first ever top handle 2 years ago. There's so much more coming down the pipeline, and we're excited to see where we can take this thing, along with some incredible partnerships within the industry. And I think it's gonna be a watershed moment for the industry as far as
for sure.
the way things are done. So we're excited to be here. Yeah.
I have no future plans.
So real quick,
this is about it.
All right, this is
so
the end
we have
game.
about 5 minutes left, real quick, and this is
Can
one
I
for
can I
Bradley.
touch on that real quick?
Yeah,
Because
the 5
there are plans for the future. So, like I said, when we kind of started off in this whole, there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Where, I'm excited to see this go is to kind of continue building those specific solutions for different workflows. And
Right.
A user who might just want to carry all their packs throughout the day and have better optimized packs and chargers for that type of workflow, or those, heavy-duty users who want to charge on the go, and like continuing to drive all of these different use cases.
Right.
For me, it's very exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I want to dive in a little more of that. We'll probably give you 3 minutes on the spotlight on this one. So right now we're working on a follow-on to our last year's battery OPE piece, and it's all about power management, which we touched on earlier. Back here, we haven't talked about it much, but we have a whole lot of new products that were just announced last night specifically for power management. So the superchargers, the dual-base superchargers, guys, they've been out since last year. They're amazing. We have 2 of them on every job site because, like Bradley was saying, we're using heavy load, so we're constant charging, whether we're using a roll-on if we don't have access to a client's power, which if you don't know what a roll-on is, check it out. It's a giant battery generator essentially.
Right on.
But there's a whole bunch of new stuff here that we've never seen, and now we're like, holy crap, we need those in our trucks, in our shop right now. So kind of tell us what we see back here besides just thousands of dollars of beautiful packs.
Yeah. I'm taking these home after.
Jake told me I could have them.
They're on wheels.
Perfect.
So, again, like the way I really think about this is that you're going to have all these different unique workflows. And this year we've introduced 3 new products that really optimize several different charging scenarios. So, historically, a lot of people want to charge their batteries in the shop overnight. And that really means circuit optimization, right? Getting the most out of your infrastructure. Today we see a lot of people tripping breakers, manually moving over packs, or calling an electrician, maybe unnecessarily upgrading their infrastructure. So that first new product on that big battery wall you see there is our Daisy Chain 6-bay charger. And so what that does is let you charge 60 M18 12Os on a single 15 amp circuit.
So that's like 4 lawn crews right there.
Yeah. But, if you're in a scenario where maybe you guys have multiple crews who come back to a single location overnight, you can really get a lot more out of your infrastructure.
60 packs.
Yeah. without, calling an electrician, spending thousands or tens of thousands saying, I need 10 new circuits to charge all these batteries. The second new solution I'm pretty close to over there is the power manager. And this one's really optimized.
So that's that one in the center, guys, if you can see it on screen. It looks like a giant, what do you call that? A surge protector, but way cooler.
Yes, and much smarter. It's an intelligent power distribution device. And so, kind of back to those pain points I was talking about earlier, tripping breakers. We've seen a lot of users facing that pain point. And so we're going to eliminate that with the power manager. And the way it essentially works is it lets you plug in any combination of charger, battery. It will look at what's plugged into it, how much power it's pulling, and then strategically turn on as many outlets as possible without tripping a breaker. It'll then detect, hey, those batteries are done charging, and now I can turn on more outlets. And so what this really unlocks, especially as you talk about the future and having multiple systems in the shop overnight, is that ability to combine any charger you like, an MX supercharger, an M12 charger, an M18 charger, right, at all these different charge speeds and kind of create that custom setup that's best for you. That's the second new one there. And the third new one is our dual base supercharger, but now with 4-point mounting. So now we're going to have two different versions of that. One optimized for the shop and one optimized for the mobile environment, where we have pack locks, reinforced through holes, so you can really mount that in your truck, in your trailer. It'll bounce around as much as you want. Those packs will keep charging.
We'll stay. Is it feasible in the future, or are we going to see a pack out compatible one? I know it has to suck up a lot of that air for that cooling. Is there a way, maybe like an elevated platform, where we'll see pack out compatible superchargers? Because all these other packs are so awesome. That's the only thing we're really missing from the dual bay supercharger.
Yeah, nothing's off the table right now.
Okay.
We've
always
got
say this crap.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping
That's
they
a
mess up
go-to.
one day. Don't edit it out if they spill the beans.
For sure. And the motivation with that one, we really quickly saw the benefits that dual bay supercharger was giving people indoors.
Oh, yeah.
And we said we have to bring that to the mobile environment quickly. And that one's really optimized to be permanently mounted. But I know from both the charger side and the pack out team, there is a huge runway of future pack out stuff coming for sure.
Awesome. I'm trying to think if there's any other big takeaways you want to leave us with for the battery space, the tool space, what's to come, or any carrots you can drop.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask a question myself.
Okay.
Andy Thomas, we're obviously obsessed with understanding the user. What do we need to do to innovate here? So, you've kind of seen what we're capable of, right? Uniquely through Pipeline, and what would you like to see from us, right, to deliver to the tree care industry?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to answer that. MX battery blower. No. Honestly, I would like to see Gen 2s of the top handle. I would like to see at some point 2 different solutions. So a full-size, powerful top handle like we have now, especially the next generation. A little bit of weight loss, but that's our wish for every saw. And then a more pruning specific saw, closer to like the smaller Echoes, just because it still is a good example. They say that their new MSA 220 is good for 450 pruning cuts. Well, no one's going to carry an 11-pound top handle saw to prune. Right. What's the point of having a 40-ish cc saw to prune? Not really my favorite. So when I think of the pole saw, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if we had that cutting system in a top handle?
Right.
Especially with the higher chain speeds. That would be my biggest wish. But across the board, the cross compatibility for us, at least for scaling a small business, it just makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. For me, I think as we kind of wrap this up here, I think I'm super excited to see what your guys' next iterations are going to be, because I know you guys are going to get feedback
Copycat.
on. Yeah. Well, I know you guys are going to get feedback, and I know that you guys as a company are really in tune to that, and you want to make those changes for the user. And so I'm pretty excited to see what you guys are going to come up with next. But thanks for joining us, guys. It's been awesome. Again, it's Thomas, and then we've got Jake, Bradley, and Andy, and we are just shooting the breeze about Milwaukee outdoor power equipment. And again, guys, check out their stuff that's coming out. It's pretty awesome, and Pipeline was awesome this year. It was fun hanging with you guys. Thanks so much. Andy, you want to do a sign-off?
Yeah, so real quick, pipeline, we're wrapping it up now. So if you're intrigued with any of the products, whether they're OPE, mechanics, construction, GC, PP, any of that stuff, if you follow Milwaukee Pipeline, the hashtag, you're going to see all the content creators that were here. You're going to see all their stuff, and then you're going to see more and more pipeline stuff for the next 2 or 3 weeks probably. So stay tuned. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. But if you're really keyed on an OPE, we have a full review, like I said earlier, on this at Rooted Arborist. Check it out. You can tell us what you think, and that information, I'm sure a lot of it, because they are so apparent, it's going to get back to them. So, they really take it with the heart because they want to make version 2. I'm sure it's already in the works, and they haven't promised us anything or told us anything, but I guarantee you it doesn't stop with this saw. So, I'm Andy. That's Thomas with Rooted Arborist. This is Jake and Bradley with Milwaukee, and we appreciate you watching.